The quality movement played a role in helping us achieve our goal. These policies are very wise. They help the quality to rise. There is no real cost at all. With efficiency, expenses fall. Our people are our real strength. We know they'll go to any length, and TQM and TPM are perfect for involving them. We treat them all with great respect for any gender, group, or sect, and any problem can be solved if all our people are involved. Many benefits we clearly see if we invest in R&D. We started small in the early days, but now we know it really pays. And everyone who enters any of our latest centers will see they are the state of the art. This will be a brilliant start as we turn another new page and enter a brand new age. Many researchers will work here. All our leaders will carefully steer. Our researchers will be well guided. Many facilities are provided. Flow chemistry and fluorination, electronic documentation, the latest technologies are there. Process engineering and software. Our new businesses are bound to grow. Novel products will steadily flow. Biologicals will play a role in achieving our green goals. With quality innovation, good and green, undoubtedly success is seen. For quite some time, we now see a focus on ESG. According to Steven Pinker, and supported by many a thinker, the world's becoming a better place, though at a slow but steady pace. And yet there are problems for sure, and climate change is at the fore. Inequality is also dire, and maybe getting much higher. If progress on all these is slow, the consequences are grave, we know. The abilities and constraints are such that governments can't do much. NGOs have few means but ability, and businesses have means but don't see these issues as part of their core. For profits is how they would score. But businesses slowly realize that profit is a short-term prize. After all, what do businesses gain if they die out and don't sustain? But how much can they afford to spend to ensure their existence doesn't end? The answer is not easy to find, but a thought still comes to my mind. If the efforts of all are combined, the synergies that we can find reduces costs and raises gain and obviates inevitable pain. There's a capitalistic strain that enthrones shareholder gain, and Milton Friedman could see that this simplistic philosophy could lead to great efficiency. But wherever there's externality, this capitalism, red in tooth and claw, can prove to be a dismal flaw. Correction can come from regulation, or even from self-remediation. And Adam Smith himself foresaw that business could address this flaw. It should be clearly understood. One can do well by doing good. Doing it smartly, we do better. So why not be the trendsetter? In capitalism's early days, we see social responsibility in some degree to dissipate the urban gloom. Both Cadbury, Lord Leverhulme, then pioneered the company town. Some observers would surely frown at their extremely paternal attitude, but many might view it with gratitude. We should remember in that age, it compensated their lowly wage. It's time to get the Tata Group now very much into the loop. Because it seemed morally right, the Tata Group then set its sight at such a very lofty height for what trade unions had to fight in Europe for several years was gifted by these worthy seers from the goodness of their heart. Undoubtedly, this played a part in honing their great reputation and then contributing to the nation. And doing good is very sound. What goes around comes around. Doing good isn't just a cost. The gain outweighs all that's lost. My grandfather probably saw these examples and found no flaw. He bought far away marshy land. His critics just couldn't understand. They concluded he had gone quite mad. But today we are glad, not sad. A township then slowly arose, and this is where our business grows. We provided every needed tool, housing, hospital, and school. My uncle, known as SPG, way back could clearly see the environment was under stress. Neglect he knew would be a mess. Our creekside land was reserved, the mangroves there well preserved, and from my office I gaze out there, a Mumbai view that's very rare, with greenery all the way until you sight New Bombay. And now and then with friends I float on a gently moving boat with pink flamingos in full flight. To my mind, a splendid sight. In saving tigers, he played a role. The environment was a major goal. The Tata Trusts, as we all know, get a very constant flow of dividends from shares they own. It may not be quite as well known. Our trusts also have a share, the proportion smaller, but it's there. And here I think we all ought to pay careful heed to Michael Porter. With shared value, there's no cost for doing good, as nothing's lost. All it takes is a thinking brain to remove a societal pain and combine it with a business gain to create a sustainable chain of endless mutual benefit. The concept is a tremendous hit. We thought that we should also try and see if we could apply this philosophy to our group. Our employees also joined the loop. In the year 2010, studies were commissioned, and then, with the help of DASRA and FSG, our new program, one could see, we aptly named it Good and Green, and what a journey it has been. And how do we define our role? What could be a proper goal? Now, the UN has a lengthy list, so in recounting, some would be missed. So I will focus on just 3 that I think would be the key for all the others to fall in place and enable us to win the race. Good health through perfect sanitation, environment, and education. All of these can be seen in our program, Good and Green. It is no longer climate change within a tolerable range. A crisis is what it's about, with fires, floods, as well as drought. Every week a constant blast, far worse than seen in the past. If we must, we will adapt. Prevention, though, would be more apt. There is a cost to adaptation. It's rising fast in every nation, as well as for the world at large. This will be a heavy charge. In fact, we should all conclude prevention would be really shrewd. In practice, it would cost much less and avoid a lot of stress. All industries should play a role in the carbon neutral goal. GHG emissions should be reduced, more green energy should be produced, and so without partiality, our goal for all's neutrality, whether water, carbon, or solid waste, and very soon we will make haste to make our net emissions zero. Will that make the group a hero? In 2010, the goal looked tall, but we took a recent call. Technology would save that way. To achieve these goals, we will strive to do it all by 2035. As technology takes a leap, green energy gets very cheap. Keen observers quickly saw that solar also tracks Moore's law. Whether groundnut shell or bagasse, our India's full of biomass. At first we thought we'd have to spend, but that's not true, for in the end, the more we thought and the more we slaved, we did invest, but we also saved. And solar is still getting cheaper, and as we start getting deeper, in India it will hit the goal of being cheaper than even coal in just a handful of years. Already we and our peers are sourcing solar electricity at lower rates than from the utility. For quite some time we've been extorted as their finances aren't still sorted. A silver lining can be seen since it incentivizes green. Offsets help elimination, and rural electrification with distributed solar power is now the need of the hour. Our cost of water is not so high, therefore we attempt to try to reduce our water consumption. But all the same, it's a safe assumption our water use won't disappear, and so to be neutral, I fear, we will have to mitigate. Though fortunately I can state that developing a watershed doesn't cost much, and instead our agribusiness can benefit. The government will do its bit, but where it fails, we'll fill the breach, and hopefully we will reach many farmers on the cheap. But the benefits that we reap will compensate for the cost, and once again, nothing's lost. There are many paths that we can see for achieving carbon neutrality, but the cheapest way is certainly through energy efficiency. Real interest rates are rather low, and high returns quickly flow for any energy-saving device. For business, this is very nice. Not only are the returns quite brisk, there's also very little risk. In India, mandated CSR can help us go very far. Multiple benefits are what one sees with water projects or growing trees. Good livelihoods are created, our carbon emissions are abated, trees planted at a river source maintain the flow throughout its course. So many benefits we can see. The preservation of biodiversity, different species can be tried, useful products can be supplied, like biomass or edible fruits, and yet the trunk and the roots can sequester carbon, clean the air, a win-win that is very fair. So while we decarbonize, why not also monetize? So never fall for either or. Our hearts and minds demand much more. Neutrality can come with ease. Some may think I'm a tease. Some companies are not yet sold. For some it's tough, or so I'm told. Energy-intensive firms would say it's much tougher for them to play. If you can turn all waste to gold, and if you can be very bold with inventing technology, any industry can see eventual neutrality. And there is so much more to gain if it's across our entire chain. The case, of course, is very clear, and yet we are nowhere near any kind of firm solution to end greenhouse gas pollution. Around the world, we would find so many leaders that are blind, or perhaps not so benighted, but conveniently short-sighted. Why undergo any pain if by the time you get the gain, you will no longer be around? To politicos, this may seem sound. Prevention is much better than cure. So learn it now or then endure the endless pain and aggravation of the heavy cost of adaptation. If you neutralize at a cost, competitively, much is lost. A uniform carbon tax would protect all our backs. But bear in mind it's not a cost. For the economy, nothing's lost. A UBI could be instated, some other tax could be rebated, and if this is indeed just so, each economy would still grow. Now, with the right advocacy, someday soon we could see an enabling global policy that would encourage us to be quite carbon neutral with no pain. The world can only stand to gain. We can be fair to every nation, avoid the cost of adaptation. But if we don't collaborate, we can't escape this sorry state. Now, COVID opened up our eyes. Let's hope that we've become quite wise. We saw the benefits of green, but something else was also seen. The different outcomes we could see because of inequality. Can COVID then act as a spur? Now, couldn't it help to stir our hearts and minds to newer heights with ESG now in our sights? The vision that we should now share is a brave new world, both green and fair. The environment isn't all. On society, let's take a call. Throughout the chain, let's keep in sight every person's human right. It's business as usual, not bravery, to end child labor and slavery. And all businesses, we should see the broadest reach of diversity. Not only is it fair and right, it would give us the best insight. Since life is full of many hard knocks, we need to think out of the box. Diversity is the perfect aid when we are required to wade through troubled waters or quagmires. Unusual thought is what inspires. Lack of health and education leads to the perpetuation of inequality through generations in almost all our nations. Without good health, you never learn. If you don't learn, you cannot earn. For health, as well as climate change, it certainly isn't strange that prevention's better than a cure. On public health we should spend, it is much cheaper in the end. With little cost and greatest ease, we could reduce lifestyle disease. At any rate, I'm quite sure we would spend less than for a cure. In order to achieve this goal, businesses could play a role. Through business models and CSR, together we can go quite far. And similarly, through education, we can serve ourselves and the nation. We often think that charity can address disparity, But tackling health and education are better means for alleviation. Through action and advocacy, we can help all humanity to create a world that's just and fair, and everyone is free to share nature's bounty and be fulfilled. And then I'm sure we'd all be thrilled. Our people also volunteer. Together, all of us can steer a world in which there's harmony between business and society, a mutual reinforcing loop benefiting every group. And once again, our CSR can serve to take us very far. That projects that are the biggest hits provide us all with benefits. Ingeniously, we can plan it, serve profit, people, and planet. Sustainability is not a pain, for after all, it is a gain. It helps us all to survive, last long as well as to thrive. It's a license to operate. The ecosystem finds its great. Society, governments, banks cooperate, convey their thanks. Together with both heart and brain, sustainably let's sustain. With ESG spends, nothing lost, as benefits outweigh the cost. And governance also pays. It's an effort in the early days, but over time you are rewarded. Implicit trust is then awarded. The values for which you stand help to enhance your brand. You must persist and never balk. Consistently walk the talk. If your governance is strong, the payback won't be very long. Always keep these facts in sight. Don't hesitate to do what's right. The strategy is tried and tested. In the long haul, it can't be bested. Now, ESG will take you far. Don't just be a shooting star, rising high before you fall. Instead, take the enduring call. All of us can forge ahead if we only learn to shed the barriers that can divide, and if cooperation's tried. With the help of business, I foresee a helpful, thriving society, and today, GIL is awed to receive this award. Thank you.